welcome to Algebra 1, Lesson 34. We're talking about factoring using the greatest common factor. So look at my blue problem up on the top of the board. I have 2a times x plus c. Remember, when you have a multiplication problem, the parts of the multiplication problem that are being multiplied together are called the factors. So 2a is one factor and x plus c is the other factor. Now if I actually multiply these, I distribute it, I get 2a times x, which is 2ax, plus 2a times c, which is 2ac. If I reverse it and go back to my two factors, I say that this is factoring. Factoring is the process of writing an indicated sum as a product of factors. So, excuse me. This would be a sum, and here I've changed it to two factors, so that would be factoring. Two factor, this is all that you have to do. Okay, I'm going to show you with this simple one, and then we're going to go to ones that are a little bigger. All you have to do is realize that you need two factors. So I'm going to put two parentheses. One factor, the other factor. Then I look at my factors, or my terms, and I find the greatest common factor. So I start with my whole numbers. Well, their greatest common factor is 2. Then my letters, they both have an A. They don't both have an X, they don't both have a Z or C, so it's not part of my greatest common factor. So 2A is the greatest common factor. Now I divide each of my terms by my greatest common factor. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. A divided by A, again, is 1. Because remember, you subtract the exponents. And when you don't see an exponent, that means that your exponent is 1. So it would be 1 minus 1, which is a to the 0, and we know that a to the 0 equals 1. So far we have 1, 1, and there's nothing to divide the x, by, so x is left by itself. X times 1 is x. So we're left with x plus, now let's divide 2ac. Again, 2 divided by 2 is 1. A divided by A is 1. C has nothing to be divided by, so C is left. And so we get what we started with, 2a times x plus c. Okay, let's go to some bigger ones. a3x squared m squared plus a squared x m cubed minus a4 x3 m2. We're going to start by putting our two sets of parentheses, the greatest common factor and the other. Now I'm not going to close my parentheses this time because this is obviously going to be a little bit bigger. So that I have room, I'm just going to keep it open. All right, let's find our greatest common factor to start with. So we have no coefficients besides 1. We don't need to write that. All right, so let's look at our letters. A3, A2, A4. A2 is the smallest exponent, so it's A2 to start with. Since there's an A in each term. Is there an X in each term? X2, X, X3. Yep, and the smallest exponent is just X. Okay, M2, M3, M2. The smallest exponent is M2. So a squared, x squared, m squared is your greatest common factor. Now you'll divide each term by this greatest common factor. So a3 x squared m squared divided by a squared x m squared. Start with each letter. a3 divided by a2. I subtract my exponents. 3 minus 2 is 1, so that means I'm left with just an a. X squared divided by x, 2 minus 1 is 1, so I'm left with just an x. M squared divided by m squared cancels out, so that means it's 1. Okay? Plus a squared divided by a squared cancels out. X divided by x cancels out. M3 divided by m2, 3 minus 2 is 1, so I'm left with just an m. Minus a4 divided by a squared, 4 minus 2 is 2, so I have a squared. X3 divided by x, 3 minus 1 is 2, so I have x squared. And m squared divided by m squared cancels out. So I'll close my parentheses now. Now I have factored this problem. See, it's really simple, right? It's kind of like a puzzle. I'm walking you through it very, very slowly, but you guys will catch on and be able to do it faster. Okay, we've got 3 more examples to do. So here we go. 4a3b4z3 plus 2a squared bz4. Let's start with our greatest common factor parentheses and the other. Look at our coefficients. What's the greatest common factor for 4 and 2? It's 2, very good. Okay, a3, a2. a2 as the smallest exponent. b4, b. Okay, just b has the smallest exponent. z3, z4. z3 is the smallest exponent. Okay, that's my greatest common factor. Now I'll divide each term. 4 divided by 2 is 2. a3 divided by a2 is just a. 4 minus 1 is 3, so this is b3. And z3 divided by z3 cancels out. So I move on to my next term. 2 divided by 2 is 1. A squared divided by a squared is, again, 1. B divided by b is 1. And z divided by z3, z4 divided by z3 is z to the first power. So we're just left with z. Okay? That's how you do this one. All right, how's it going? Do you feel like you understand? Do you feel like you're a little lost? You can do it, okay? Keep it up, keep it up. Let's check on the next couple of examples. Let's finish up these examples and get to your practice. 6a squared x squared plus 2a3x3 plus 4a4x3. Let's start with our parentheses for our greatest common factor and our parentheses for the rest. So look at our coefficients first. What is the greatest common factor of 6, 2, and 4? 2, right? So we start with 2. Then we have a squared, a cubed, a to the 4th power. A squared, it has the smallest exponent. X squared, x cubed, x cubed. Well, x squared has the smallest exponent. So that's your greatest common factor. Let's divide each term. 6 divided by 2 is 3. A squared divided by a squared cancels. X squared divided by x squared cancels, so it's just 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. A3 divided by a squared is a. x3 divided by x squared is x. So far I have 3 plus ax plus, let's make that a little bit clearer. Okay. 4 divided by 2 is 2. a4 divided by a squared, 4 minus 2 is 2, so it will be a squared. x3 divided by x squared is x. Close your parentheses. That's all that you have to do. Okay? One more. 3m cubed xy squared plus m squared y. We'll put our beginning parentheses for our greatest common factor and our end parentheses. Do I have a coefficient for both? No, this one just has the coefficient of 1, and that's not a common, you don't count 1 in the common factors because everything has 1 as a common factor. So, nope, no whole numbers in this one. You have m's in both, so the smallest exponent is m squared. We do not have an x in both, so there's no x in my greatest common factor. We do have a y in both, y squared and just y. Just y is the smaller exponent, so m squared y is our greatest common factor. So we keep 3, that doesn't change, and 3 divided by m squared leaves us with just m. There's no x, so it stays there. Y squared divided by y leaves me with just y. Plus, now, this is where you need to pay careful attention. M squared divided by m squared cancels out. Y divided by y cancels out. So, do I write 0? No, because remember, m squared divided by m squared is 1. And y divided by 1 is also 1. So you have 1 times 1, which is 1. So when something cancels out completely, you're left with a 1. But you have to put that 1. It's not that you can't just get rid of it like a 0. You have to put it there. It changes things. So make sure that you're paying careful attention to that. All right, let's give it a try, all on your own. Practice A, B, and C on page 136. Okay, you should be all back now, ready to go. Letter A, 2a squared b squared is your greatest common factor. The rest should be 1 plus ab squared minus b4. Close your parentheses. Then letter B, your greatest common factor is 5az5, in parentheses, 3az3 minus 7. And your last one, 7xmz4 times 4z6 minus xm squared. Okay, let me know if you're having any trouble with this concept. I'd be happy to help you in any way that you need. Have a wonderful day, guys. Love you so much. Do well on your test tomorrow. Bye.